So it's always a wonderful opportunity to turn back to the Bhagavad Gita, to get some perspective on our life, on our journey. Spiritual knowledge is so important because what often happens in the world today is that many people are practicing spirituality, but it lacks direction, it lacks understanding, it lacks knowledge. Oftentimes things become very, very ritualistic in the world we're living in today. Srila Prabhupada would often tell different stories to depict different points. And he used to tell the story of Sargal Singh. That one day there was a merchant and everyone would always come to this merchant to buy things. So one day one customer came into the shop of this merchant and the merchant looked very depressed. He was, his head was shaved and he was wearing dark clothes. So generally, these are 3 signs that someone has died. So the person came into the shop and he said, "What happened?" So this merchant, looking depressed, head shaved, dark clothes. He said, "Sargal Singh is dead." So this person, he didn't know who Sargal Singh, but he thought that he said it with such gravity, he looked so depressed, his head is shaved. He didn't have the heart to ask, "Who is this?" Like someone is saying he's dead. He said, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear." So this person went out, he also looked very down. So the next person that met him said, "What happened?" He said, "Sargal Singh is dead." He told the next fellow, before you know it, the whole town was all depressed. They went to the king. The king said, "What's happening?" He said, "Everyone's so down." He said, "Haven't you heard? Sargal Singh is dead." So the king went, he said to the person, "Who is Sargal Singh?" So the person said, "That's a good question." So he asked the person that told him. That person said, "I don't know, good question." He went back, nobody knew. Finally they went back to the merchant. He said, "By the way, who is Sargal Singh?" He said, "That's my donkey." Srila Prabhupada used to tell this story to explain that oftentimes people just follow along, but we have no idea. We have no idea what's happening. So either the world is full of blind followers, or we're following something which doesn't have much substance. Also, so much knowledge in the world is made up. Prabhupada told another story that there was one boy taking an exam. So there was a question on the exam about a king of India called Haridwar Basta. So he had to answer a question on Haridwar Basta. But this boy in the exam, he didn't know anything about this king. But he had to write something. So in his exam, he wrote, Haridwar Basta is a dough-bendi lactilized by the plactony of tinder. I'll just tell you one more time. Haridwar Basta is a dough-bendi lactilized by the plactony of tinder. And the person marking the exam, he looked at it, he said, what is this? He said, but at least he tried. He was very creative. He doesn't know anything. He just made up some words. So the examiner passed him. Grade A. Because at least he didn't know anything, but he tried. So Prabhupada said the world is like that. People basically don't know anything, but they speak in very, very complicated terms that nobody else can understand. And everyone else thinks, my God, so learned. But there's no actual substance. Therefore, we shouldn't become blind followers, neither we should follow some kind of manufactured, convoluted knowledge. That's why we go to the Bhagavad Gita. So today, I'm just going to read from a few verses of the Gita. I'm going to read from text number 8, and I'll read a few more verses from there. So this is what Krishna tells Arjuna in text number 8. Basically, Krishna is telling Arjuna the goal of life. Chapter 12, text number 8. Mayava manaradatsva mai buddhim niveshaya niveshishyasi mayeva ata urdhvam nasham shayaha. Krishna tells Arjuna, just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Then you will live in me always, without a doubt. So this is the goal of life. If you can always remember Krishna and never forget Him, in all situations, in all times, places and circumstances, if somehow Krishna becomes so dear to you that wherever you are and whatever you're doing, you just can't get Him out of your mind, then you have achieved the goal of life. It's said that once all the gopis were together, so they were all asking each other, what did you dream about Krishna? So they were all sharing, I dreamt this about Krishna, I dreamt this about... But Radharani was very quiet. Then all the gopis looked at Radharani and said, what did you dream about Krishna? And then Radharani looked down and she said, dream of Krishna. All night I was thinking of Krishna, I couldn't go to sleep. Where is the question of dreaming? So Radha, Ra means Rag, Dha means Dhavati. So Radha's name literally means she who is running after her object of attachment. Radha, to always run after Krishna. So when the mind becomes so purified, then the mind will constantly run after Krishna. So Krishna is saying it's very simple. Just as I'm always thinking of you, you also, if you constantly think of me, then we are together in love. But Krishna knows it's not so easy. So therefore in the next verse he says to Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind on me, if it's a little hard, if your mind is going here, there and everywhere but not to Krishna, then what to do? One time a devotee came to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, sometimes I forget Krishna. Prabhupada said, you always forget Krishna, sometimes you remember Him. So our situation is it's difficult to think of Krishna. So then what do? Krishna says, O Arjun, winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then what should you do? Then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. So here, Krishna is telling Arjun of the importance of practicing sadhana bhakti. Sometimes people don't like it that we give them a process. One time, one man, he came to the temple, he said, all my life people were giving me numbers. When I was young, my parents gave me a number. You better get this much in your exam. When I got married, my wife gave me a number. When I go to work, they give me a number. They give me a target. And he said, now I want to come to the temple and just relax. And then you guys give me a number. 4 eggs, 16 rounds, Pancha Tattva, Sad Goswami, Sapta Rishi, Asta Sakhi, Nava Yogendras, Dasa Avatar. So he said, why all the numbers? Why all of the... I don't chant 16 rounds, I chant from my heart. Why all these numbers? Bhakti is from the heart. Why all the numbers? No numbers. Then he came, he said, where in the Gita does Krishna say 16 rounds? Where does he say 16 rounds? Show me. I said, well, Krishna says, Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. Krishna says 24 hours of rounds. He said, it's okay, I'll do 16 rounds. In the beginning, we have to have a process. We have to have a discipline. If you are not disciplined, then you are not a disciple. And if you are not a disciple of someone who's accomplished in spirituality, it will become very difficult for you to become established in spirituality. And therefore, many people come to the Hare Krishna temple. Even more people don't come to a Hare Krishna temple, but many do. But of the many people that come to a Hare Krishna temple, only a few may actually practice sadhana bhakti seriously. And of the few that practice sadhana bhakti seriously, maybe a few will do it with the sincerity that will allow them to always remember Krishna and never forget Him. That could be you. That could be any of us. But the point is, how seriously do we want to take it? In our life, we took so many things seriously. But now we have to take our spiritual journey seriously. And therefore, Bhagavad Gita establishes that bhakti is the goal of life. And then Srimad Bhagavatam gives you all of the stories of the individuals who have developed bhakti in their life. And then Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu explains the process that you need to practice in your life in order to awaken bhakti. And then there are even further books like Madhurya Kadambini which explain the different stages that you'll go through in the awakening of bhakti in your heart. So the Bhagavad Gita establishes bhakti. The Srimad Bhagavatam explains bhakti. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu empowers you to practice bhakti. And the Madhurya Kadambini helps you to examine how much bhakti you have actually developed. So, everyone who is serious about experiencing divine love in their heart, we have to read these books. Just as you had to read books to become established in any of the processes or any of the things you try to achieve in your life, now we have to read these books if we are actually serious. Otherwise, you can come to the Hare Krishna temple, we can get something, but we won't get the real fruit of what is available. Just like this is a phone. iPhone. If I use this as a door stopper, will it work?
Yes.
Yeah? Try out. No, don't try out. If I use this as a door stopper, it will work. But is it the best use? There's something far more valuable you can get from this. So different people come to a Hare Krishna temple for different reasons. Okay, everyone, it's confession time. See, Krishna consciousness is like an ocean. Some people appreciate the ocean from the beach. Oh, very nice. They can sit on the beach all day and watch people enjoying in the ocean and they're satisfied. Oh, very nice. Some people go to the edge of the ocean and they just lift up their little bit and put one foot in. Very nice. Very nice. Cooling. Some people say, no, I'll go into and they go right into the middle of the ocean and they become surrounded by the ocean, but still they're on the surface. And then someone may say, I'm going to dive into the ocean. Because at the bottom of the seabed are all the jewels. So like this, many people appreciate the ocean of Krishna consciousness in different ways. Some people sit on the side, not speaking about all of you on the side, but some people sit on the side and they just look, oh, very nice, happy to see all these happy devotees, it's wonderful, it's nice, nice to see the kirtan, very good. But that's as far as it goes. And you get some pleasure from that, but it's not the biggest pleasure. And then some people dip it in. I'll do a little bit. I'll do half a round. Half. Not too much. And then others feel as though we are surrounded by Krishna, but actually we haven't gone deep. Because Krishna consciousness is not just about activity. It's about your intention. It's about your heart, your devotion. And therefore, although it seems like we're in Krishna consciousness, we may still be on the surface. But then when we dive in, then we find the real jewels. So it's available, but it requires, as Krishna says here to Arjuna, it requires one to follow the process. But sometimes we end up questioning everything. Why this? Why that? Why that? When actually the best way to answer it is just give your heart to it. Become a spiritual scientist. And you will experience it for yourself. How much can we explain to you how sweet the honey is? Ultimately, you have to open it and taste it for yourself. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur encourages us in the Madhurya Kadambini, don't just stay on the surface. He says, go on the journey, Ado Shraddha, and that journey begins with faith. And he says that the way you can understand you have really begun the spiritual journey is that you accept a spiritual master. The first and foremost spiritual master in our life is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. His teachings, his life, his sacrifice, and his deep desire for everyone to taste the nectar of Krishna consciousness is what nourishes us on a day-to-day basis. And therefore, we are not in the business of comparing, because we respect everyone. However, we have to say that in this world there cannot be anyone like A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. The sacrifice and the troubles that he took on in order to deliver Krishna consciousness to the whole world, that will perhaps never be repeated in history again. Prabhupada arrived in New York City, and if you think Amsterdam is bad, he was living in the Lower East Side of New York. This was the Skid Row. Prabhupada was living in 84 Bowery. It was infested with rats. It was populated by alcoholics and criminals. And Prabhupada said, one day when I came into the Bowery, I came into the reception area and one man was lying there dead. Can you imagine living in a place where in the foyer you have to walk past a dead person to get to your room? That's where Prabhupada was living. This was Prabhupada, who was living in Vrindavan, in the middle of the spiritual world, right behind Seva Kunj, where Radha and Krishna perform their pastimes even today. Prabhupada left that place. And he didn't just leave that place. He left at 70 years old. He didn't just leave at 70 years old. He left having not good health and had 2 heart attacks on the ship. And not just that, he came to America with only 40 rupees, knowing nobody. Srila Prabhupada is an incredible person. And therefore, he didn't just teach the philosophy, but he showed what it means when you absorb this philosophy in your heart and what kind of miracles you can do because you have faith in Krishna. And so, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says the process begins when you accept a spiritual master. When you accept that, yes, this person can guide me all the way back to the spiritual world. Until then, we are spiritual window shoppers. Yes, I like everyone. I like everything. I listen to everyone. Very good. But you have to follow one person, because you have to follow a process, and you have to follow a practice, and you have to follow a discipline. And bhakti is received from the heart of a bhakta. And therefore, you can't generate it yourself. And so, you have to accept the spiritual master. And first and foremost, it means developing our relationship with Srila Prabhupada. And then what will happen, if you're more serious, is that in your life, a living guru will appear who perfectly embodies and who perfectly follows the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. And if you take the help of that living embodiment of Srila Prabhupada's grace, someone who is following exactly in the mood and repeating the message as it is, then that person can give you further guidance, further instruction on the journey back to home, back to Godhead. And so, if we really want to progress on this path of spiritual life, then it has to become something more than just a social gathering. Of course, everyone is welcome in the Hare Krishna temple. No judgment, no expectation. If you want to come only for the prasadam, you are our guests. No worries. I also did it. However, remember, you can use an iPhone as a doorstopper, but you can also do something far more profound. And in the same way, this community is an opportunity for you to develop the purity that will unlock ecstasy. I'm just trying to see how far I can make this poetic. It's a rare opportunity. Manushya janama jar, Radha Krishna na bhajiya. Janiya Shuniya Vishakam. The great saint Narottam, he sings, I got this human form of life. I got such an opportunity. But I didn't take advantage. I knowingly drank poison. So, we have a great urgency and opportunity in our life. When the alarm clock goes off every day, we should be inspired, because we should know that we have the greatest opportunity in this life to develop what we've always been looking for. But it begins with accepting a teacher and then going on that path. Ado Shraddha, and then Sadhu Sangha, and then associate with them, ask them questions, serve them. Try to observe them and look at their mood and understand what makes these guys tick. Then you get all the jewels, and then the inspiration will come to bhajana kriya. Then you'll say, yes, I want to do this. I want to do this seriously. And then your heart will begin to change. Anartha nivriti. And then nishta, all the doubts will begin to disappear. No more doubts. Nishta. Star means, if you think of any English word which begins with st, stay, stop, stationary, stand, it all has a sense of being in one place, isn't it? So the Sanskrit word sta means fixed, convinced. So nishta means you become completely fixed. And then basically you just taste Krishna in deeper and deeper ways. In Sanskrit it's known as ruchi, ashakti, bhav, and brain. Imagine if you could taste love, real love, not material lust, real love, spiritual love. Possible, but we have to be serious. So like this, Krishna is telling Arjuna, if at this moment you feel like you can't always think of me, then just engage in this process. Do it with seriousness and sincerity. And do it by accepting a spiritual teacher, just as Arjuna accepted Krishna. Shishyasteham sadhimam tvam prapannam. We have to be humble. Because if we're proud, we may say to many people, yes, very respectful. But in our heart, if we are proud, then we will not be able to listen to them. And then they cannot give you the due. Therefore, not just externally humble, but internally humble, to be open to being instructed. Shishyasteham sadhimam. Then Arjuna did it in 45 minutes because he was humble. 45 minutes was enough. Nashta moha smrite labdha tat prasadat mayachyuta stitosmi gata sandeha karishye vajanam tava. After 45 minutes, Arjuna said, Nasta moha, all my illusion is gone. Smrite labdha, I've regained all my memory. Tat prasadat mayachyuta, all by your mercy, Krishna. Stitosmi, I'm completely fixed. Gata sandeha, all my doubts have been dissipated. Karishye vajanam tava, and now I know what I'm meant to be doing with my life. Imagine we could wake up in the morning and say that. Wouldn't that be beautiful? It's possible. But first, we have to become good students, good disciples. And it begins with our relationship with Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Alrighty, some thoughts. If anyone has any questions or anything you'd like to ask, yes. Okay, we have 15 minutes. Go for it.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. A beautiful class. Maharaj, you gave very nice example of Krishna consciousness as a pictorial view of ocean, going deep down. Maharaj, my question is, definite, as part of we going towards the ocean, what challenges we might be facing, which might gives me the thought, to go back again to the seashore in the path of bhakti I'm following, and what should be, we should.
I don't think you need me to tell you what the challenges are. We're experiencing them every single day. The challenges are other people. The challenges are our own mind. The challenges are the opinions of society. The challenges are the complexities of balancing all your duties in this world. There are many challenges, unlimited challenges. But if a path doesn't have any obstacles, then you know what? It's probably not leading anywhere that significant. And therefore, yes, Shri Bhakti Marga Ihakanta Kakoti Ruddha. Prabodhananda says, this beautiful path of bhakti is spiked with many, many thorns. But he says, Chaitanya Chandra Yadi Nadya Kripam Karoshi. Krishna will help. Krishna's on your side. So you have more power than you know. You can't reduce the weight of the opposition of the world. The only thing you can do is increase the weight of your desire and desperation. And then that's going to decide whether the scale is going to tip. Is the weight of the world going to weigh you down? Or is the weight of your desire going to outweigh it? That's the only question. And therefore, wherever you can get inspiration, wherever you can increase that weight of desperation, you should always go there. Go to the books. Go to the devotees. Go to the holy places. Go to wherever you can get that weight of inspiration. Because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that's going to outweigh the opposition of this world. If you close your eyes and you say, I've got to get Krishna. Once there was a man trying to climb the Himalayas. So he got to the base camp. And in the morning he was walking out of the hotel. There was a snowstorm. He was walking out of the door anyway, and the receptionist said to him, where are you going? Are you mad? Do you think you can climb to the top of the Himalayas in such a snowstorm? And the explorer looked back at the receptionist and said, my heart has already reached the peak. And therefore, for my body to reach is only a formality. So has your heart reached? Has your heart reached the goal? If your heart has reached, for the body to reach, simple task. But the heart must reach. Do you want it? George Harrison says, I really want to see you. I really want to see you. But it takes so long. But do we really want to see Krishna? That's the problem. Prabhupada was giving a lecture and one person stood up and said, can you see Krishna? Prabhupada said, yes. Can't you see Krishna? He said, no. Prabhupada looked at him and said, do you want to see Krishna? There was pin drop silence in the room. And in that moment, the person looked down and he said, no. Prabhupada said, therefore you cannot see Krishna. So don't worry about the obstacles. Worry is an inside job. Ask yourself, do I want it? Where there's a will, there's a relative. No. You'll work it out. You worked out so many things in your life. No, it's too complicated. Bhakti is too complicated, too many obstacles. You worked out so many things. But do you want it? Yeah, I want it. I want a bunch of other things as well. And then it's going to be difficult. All right.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, for the question Prabhuji asked, Narada Muni says like whatever is the most difficult situation a person undergoes is a special mercy of the Lord. Okay, so is it applies only when it is leading us to Samsiddhir Haritoshanam, when it is leading me to more intensely remember the Lord, then alone that principle works, or is it like everything happens is the mercy of the Lord?
Krishna is in control of everything. Agreed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Krishna is your best friend. Agreed?
Yes.
So that means every single thing in your life is happening for the best. Simple. The good, the bad, the ugly, is all Krishna guiding us back to where we can find eternal happiness. But the question is, do we have the open-mindedness? See, we judge everything in the moment. This is good, this is bad. We have no idea. Where is this? Just so you have to be patient. With Krishna's arrangements, you have to be patient. You can't work it out. Krishna is too far ahead. Krishna is like a chess player who's thinking 100 moves ahead only. You can't second guess where he's moving it all. And sometimes it's confusing. When you look back, it's amazing. Now I've got 30 years of journals. So for 30 years I've been journaling everything that's going on in my life. So sometimes what I do is I look, 1st of June. It's 1st of June today, right? What did I write on 1st of June 10 years ago? What did I write on 1st of June 20 years ago? What did I write on 1st of June 30 years ago? And it's amazing. Because you see how Krishna was moving every part of your life in a certain way to bring you to where you are now. But in the moment, you can't understand it. You just get bewildered. You go in front of Krishna, you're like, you're smiling, you're happy. What about me? Nahyasya karhichit papan puman veda vidit siddham yad vijigyasaya yukta muyanti kavayopihi. Bhishma Dev, after the Kurukshetra war, all of the Pandavas came. Bhishma Dev looks at them and says, you know what? No one can understand Krishna's plan. You followed all dharma, you had all strength, you had all knowledge, you had Krishna as your best friend, and still you had to suffer. Muyanti kavayopihi. Even if you're a kavi, even if you're a philosopher, you will become completely bewildered if you try to understand the plan of Krishna. Therefore, don't try to understand Krishna, just try to love him. Because when you love someone and they do something you don't understand, you're just kind of like, okay, let's just go with this one. He's a nice person after all. I have no idea why this is happening. Adhok Saja, Krishna. Can't figure him out. Because Krishna's plan is always better. So our prayers, our plans, second best. In fact, it's a good thing that Krishna doesn't answer all our prayers. We'd be in trouble. A man and woman were married for 50 years. They were both 70 years old. And the genie came to the man and he said, congratulations, you've been together for 50 years. Any wish? He said, I pray my wife is 30 years younger. Boom, he became 100. He said, no, there must be some mistake here. No, you asked for it? No, I meant this. You didn't, I say specify. If Krishna followed your plan, good luck, my friend. We are so short-sighted. Krishna, I got some advice for you. Do it like this and this. And then we get 100 times more problem. Just let him do it. It's okay. I will go with you. Try it out. And it always works out. But all of this requires surrender. Hard. Can you let go and let God? Can you? Can you let go?
I did not understand.
Can you let go? And let God?
No, let God.
Let God. But you don't want to let go. Let God, let God. So God is saying, let God. Okay, I come, but then you're holding on. Not just holding on externally, but in your heart you have to agree. Okay, let's go. Alright, Krishna, let's go. I'm ready. That's surrender. Hard, no? Alright, sorry. I'm not attacking you. He's my friend, that's why I can do that.
No, I have a question.
I have a question.
Maharaj, in our outreach we find many times the first part which you mentioned today about surrendering to Prabhupada, which perhaps people will feel a bit okay because Prabhupada is not there. So they can tell that, yeah, I'm surrendering to Prabhupada. And I read his books, I chant, and then because of the presence of online social media and other places, Maharaj, there are so many other spiritual teachers, or perhaps also authorized to some extent or to whatever extent, and messaging is perhaps similar with what Gaudiya Vaishnavism is, or how Srila Prabhupada has taught, or our present acharyas how they teach. And people at times have difficulties to surrender to a living guru in ISKCON, and it's perhaps easier to just follow XYZ online and just tell that, yeah, I chant, I follow Prabhupada. How do we address?
The first thing is that
What is the question, Maharaj?
the question is that Srila Prabhupada people can accept. Of course, Srila Prabhupada is not physically present with us. And sometimes people may look to online gurus or people who are famous in other sampradayas or who are currently living and who are advanced. And it might be easier for them to go there because they want to find someone who's advanced, who they can have that faith in, someone they see in the same light as Srila Prabhupada, but they may not feel the ISKCON gurus are of that caliber. Let's just be honest. The first thing is that we are not going to sit here and say that nobody outside of ISKCON can have Krishna Prem. We're not going to sit here and say nobody outside of ISKCON is advanced. Krishna reciprocates with love, with devotion, with purity. And wherever that love, devotion and purity may be, Krishna will be attracted. Krishna is attracted by devotion, not by institutional affiliation. However, another important spiritual principle is gratitude. If Srila Prabhupada had not come, we would have no idea. We would be nowhere. When Srila Prabhupada became sick in 1968 and he had to go back to India for some time, when Prabhupada was about to go back to India, all of his followers were very, very young. So then as Prabhupada was going back, one of his followers said, Prabhupada, you're going to India, how will we carry on? Maybe we can call one of your god brothers here. And in that moment when he said that, Prabhupada looked down and he said, my spiritual master was no ordinary spiritual master. He saved me. And in that moment, that devotee realized, oh, I made a big blunder. How can I think that Prabhupada can just be replaced like that? My spiritual master saved me. We cannot take it lightly. What Srila Prabhupada has given to us is so valuable. is something we've been looking for lifetimes. And therefore, it was Srila Prabhupada's wish that please stay within my movement, please learn from those who are following my teachings. And therefore, for that purpose, we stay chaste to Srila Prabhupada and all of his followers. And we realize that anyone who is following Srila Prabhupada with chastity, with purity, definitely will gain the empowerment from the parampara to take me back home, back to Godhead. And therefore, we stay in ISKCON not because we look out there and say nobody else is a pure devotee. No. We stay in ISKCON because Prabhupada saved us. And because Prabhupada is not no ordinary spiritual master, he saved us. And so that is real love. And that's why we don't go outside. Not because we want to disrespect anyone. We respect everyone. But Prabhupada and Prabhupada's followers will always hold a very, very special place in our heart.
Thank you.
Alright?
Maharaj, you just mentioned something about everything happens at the will of Krishna, good, bad, whatever. What role do we play there?
We perform activities. And for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And therefore, Krishna is giving us certain arrangements in our life, not randomly. But Krishna is giving us certain experiences according to our karma. But when you become a devotee, what Krishna does is he dispenses your karma in a very, very specific way. So you're due X amount of karma according to your previous activities. But now you've entered the Hare Krishna temple and you've shown Krishna that now I want to come to you. Krishna gets personally involved in dispensing that X amount of karma to you. And he looks at your life and he says, okay, he's due this much karma, let me give it in this way. Because this is the best way in which I can bring him closer to me in the quickest and most efficient way. And therefore in the life of a devotee, Krishna is always present. Krishna is, you're not just experiencing the effects of your karma, but it's being given by Krishna in a very specific way. Does that make sense?
Just doing that duties towards Krishna.
Yes.
For someone just starting out or even new in their spiritual journey, how do you find a spiritual teacher? I mean, there are so many people you look up to. Maybe some are really busy as well, and they also say, right, you don't find the Guru finds you. So how do you find the Guru?
Thank you so much. The first thing, as I mentioned, is that we connect very deeply with Srila Prabhupada's teachings. The more that you understand Srila Prabhupada's mood, his mission, his message, then you will become empowered to identify that person who is his representative. And how will you find his representative? Because when you hear them speak, when you observe their life, when you witness the service that they're offering to the world, all of that will inspire you to give your heart to Krishna. That is simply it. The spiritual master is that person who you look at, who when you look at them, you realize, I know what I need to do in my life. I know what the priority is. And he's that person that you always go back to, who helps you to realize, what is my ultimate goal? So, I can tell you here on the mic theoretically, but if you prepare a heart of humility, if you prepare a heart in which you sincerely want to go back home, back to Godhead, back to Krishna, then you will know. Because you will encounter someone who answers your questions before you've even asked them. Someone who will guide you in such mystical ways that you have no idea, but it always works out to something greater. You will know. That person will arrive. Because Krishna's on your side. Why will Krishna not give you everything you need to go back home, back to God? He's more eager to have you there than you are. So therefore He will give everything. But the problem is we don't want to let go of this world. We say, I want to go back to Krishna, but we want to hold on to everything here. That's difficult. Anyway, so, is that okay? Yes.
Maharaj, I noticed that is following spiritual master, there is so much guidance in ISKCON. There's so many devotees who are way more advanced than I am that I am inspired by. Actually, I have my Diksha Guru, then I have my second Diksha Guru because I became reinitiated. Then he left his body like 20 years ago, so I want to have inspiration from a living Guru, so I got another Guru, and then he also directed me to another Guru, so I have like about 4 or so, and then you come, and Keshava Maharaj, and there's so many. And I mean, I love to be inspired, but I also notice in my cheating tendency, slow heart attachment, that I kind of cherry pick. Oh, I like this from him, I like that from him, and you know, I have so many gurus and so many pictures, and everyone thinks I'm an old devotee, so I'm good, you know. And meanwhile, I have chocolate in every bag. I'm tired, you know. I barely finish my round. I do. But it's all like, oh my God, you know. And like sometimes I don't know which screw to tighten, like how can I upgrade my sincerity, because I'm already trying, but it's not easy. There are many thorns, and I see how I cheat myself every day with this chocolate, and I also know that I'm like, you know, holding on to something which is not really substantial. I could be diving deep since so many years, but I'm not really going for it. So how can I make advancement?
Thank you. And you are our Guru. Manju, Mataji, what can I say? I think scenario A, someone has one person in their life as their Guru, and they're living, and they're in front of them, and their Guru is giving them instructions. Scenario B, your scenario, for example. And we tend to think that scenario B is the complicated one. What makes scenario A or B confusing is not the external things, it's the sincerity within one's heart to want to hear Krishna and find Krishna. If one has one Guru, and that Guru is in front of you telling you do this, but you have a complicated heart, you will not be able to hear anything. And if you have so many Gurus in your life, but in your heart you say, this life I want to have Krishna, you will hear the message of Krishna coming through them loud and clear. Because we hear not what the ears hear, but we hear what the heart wants to hear. A Guru was walking with his disciple through Times Square. Noisy, busy, chaos. And the Guru looked at the disciple and he said, did you hear that?
Yeah.
The disciple said, what? He said, didn't you hear that pigeon crying? And the disciple said, what? And then the Guru went behind the bench and there was a pigeon, injured, crying. And the disciple looked at the Guru and he said, in the midst of all of this noise, how did you hear that pigeon crying? And the Guru said, follow me. And then what the Guru did is, in the middle of Times Square, he brought out some coins and he dropped the coins. Ding! 50 people stopped, like, is that my money? Is that my money? The Guru looked at his disciple and said, We hear what the heart hears. If your heart is full of compassion, then you'll hear the pigeon crying. If your heart is full of greed, then you'll hear the tingling of the coins. Because we hear what our heart hears. And therefore, it's not complicated. We're complicated. Not you. Therefore, you can't replace it. Sincerity is the only currency. That makes everything simple.
One question.
Last one.
It's
One
about,
question.
it's about
You have to work out.
misguided. It's about misguided or it's about karma. Because sometimes you do the endeavor to, for example, come to the temple today. I want to come and it's 100 kilometers away. When I come in, I get an accident. Where I come in, full crack. It's a karma. Or
You had
it's-
an accident
Or it's
coming
misguided. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, sorry to hear.
I survived. But
Is it
when I get an
karma?
accident, I think I don't come up to Amsterdam. Now I touch in the reality, suffering or going, or stay home. Is it karma or is it misguided endeavor?
According to the Bhagavad Gita, anything that we do to try to gain spiritual inspiration, anything that we do to try to increase our devotion and our journey to Krishna is always the right decision. And we have to understand that whatever challenges come along that journey are just experiences which are meant to purify us and also educate us in the ways of the world. So please keep coming back. We hope that next time you come, you don't get injured along the way.
I hope.
And don't be discouraged. The nature of the world is that whatever you do in life, there will be obstacles and challenges. But better to take the obstacles and challenges in pursuance of something spiritual. And if you don't, then those obstacles and challenges will come in the pursuance of something material that's going to fade away in the waves of time anyway. So no one said when you come to the Hare Krishna movement, everything's going to be A-okay. No one said that. But what we did say is that what you'll get here will elevate your consciousness so that it won't affect you in the same way. So, please come. The association of devotees is the most powerful thing in the three worlds. This, we just think, oh, it's just some little room in Amsterdam where it's, it's too many people here and it's a bit hot and what's really going on here. We don't quite maybe register what's happening here is so special. Because this is where our devotion is nourished. So please, please, please keep coming back. This is our life. To be Tadira Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas Janame Janame Hoy Eya Vilash. To live with the Bhakta Sana, to always be with the devotees is my only desire, life after life. If you come here, all the strength will come, all the clarity will come, and all the answers will come. And all the prasadam will also come. I don't know what to do. You have to tell me because I see like
Everyone
5
is asking
hands.
since maybe we can take one
To
perhaps
last.
we take one last and then you can meet Maharaj in the lounge afterwards.
Maharaj, thank you for coming to Netherlands. I've been dealing with that my mind is making offense, so I'm attentive of my mind making offense. So when you're attentive of your mind making offense, how can you make your mind stop? Like I tell my mind, okay, stop making these offenses.
but it keeps going, making offenses. How can you make your mind stop?
No, Prabhu, what I think we have to do is, rather than trying to fight the negative, what we have to do is try to develop more of the positive. We have a tendency in our life to always be critical. So what we have to do is we have to be very, very generous. We have to try to go out of our way to encourage, to appreciate, to acknowledge others. We have a tendency to always try to bring attention to ourselves. Therefore, we have to make extra endeavor to glorify, to bring others, empower others, say, wonderful service you are doing. So, I think in our life, Anartha Nivritti is very difficult. Therefore, the Acharyas say, try to focus on Artha Pravritti. Try to focus on the positive thing. And if we could all taste, it's so much nicer to appreciate others than to try to constantly bring attention to myself. But we always go for the short-term fix. Wow, make me feel good. And then after some time. If you appreciate others, encourage, empower, uplift, enliven, it's so much more satisfying. And the more we taste that, then we're just kind of like, why do I need to bring it up? Who am I anyways? Okay. So, we just got to taste. As they say, enjoy the taste. Right? It's like Coke, right? We got to develop that higher taste. But yes, try not to offend. Vrindavan Das Thakur said, it's so simple. Just chant the holy name of Krishna and don't offend anyone. Finished. Job done. Anyway. Prabhu's really eager at the back. I don't know what to say. What's your name, Prabhu?
I got one last question.
Okay. What's your name?
My name is Jai Govinda.
Jai Govinda.
I had a question about the battle within yourself.
The battle?
The battle within yourself.
Oh, the battle. Oh.
But always being afraid to fail.
Afraid to fail?
It's just like a conversation all the time with yourself.
Thank you so much for your honest question. Jai Govinda, let me share with you 3 things about failure. Point number 1. Failure is never final. You know Roger Federer? Tennis player. Good tennis player. Roger Federer played 1,500 matches. He won 80% of the matches. But you know how many of the points he won? If you break it down? 50%. Roger Federer put an Instagram reel. It's the age. And he said you can lose 50% of the points and still win 80% of the matches. Because a point is just a point. So failure is never final. It's just a point in the journey. And success means to go from failure to failure without any loss of enthusiasm. Point number 2, failure is not bad. Because there's certain things that you learn in failure that you'd never learn in success. In success, you can become complacent. In failure, you become urgent. In success, you can become proud. But in failure, you can become humble. In success, you can get attached. But in failure, detached. Nothing to be attached to. And when you're urgent, humble, and detached, you know what? You're going to rise to your highest potential. And shall I tell you the 3rd thing? Failure is not final. Failure is not bad. But you know what? Failure is not possible. Because Krishna says, if you try your best, it doesn't matter what the outcome is. In my eyes, you're a success. So if you can go to bed at night and go in front of Krishna and say, tried my best. Krishna is going to say, don't worry, I've got your back. Alright? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Happy to be with you all. Thank you so much for your energy, your love, and thank you for just making ISKCON Amsterdam such a beautiful community. Maybe you all live together in cooperation. Yeah, we're all different. We all come here from different places in the universe, different cultures, different ages. But Prabhupada said this is a house in which the whole world can live. So let us live together in cooperation, in appreciation. No need for any friction. It's okay. We may have differences, but overall we're all on the same page. So if we live together in unity and harmony, amazing blessings from Krishna will come. And then I'm sure bigger and better things and beautiful things will happen here in Amsterdam. Thank you very much, Alex.